Hello, my name is David Lantz, and today I want to talk a little bit in following the tragedy of the school shootings down in Broward County, Florida. A day or so after the shootings, Rush Limbaugh on his program had a monologue entitled The Federalization of Everything. And so he addressed the topic in part by saying this, quote, "We have nationalized the public schools. In a sense, have we not? I mean, school districts, in order to get paid, have to meet federal criteria. Right now, the states look to Washington. Schools and states look to Washington, and instead of looking to Washington, how about states be granted the responsibility to fix what's happening in their own schools?" Unquote. Now, he talked about that in the context of the gun debate that has now emerged from that. Whether in some communities it is the idea to have stricter gun laws, or in other communities, as a father of one of the slain kids from the Columbine school shooting, to allow conceal and carry on school grounds. And so Rush was trying to say, how can we get rid of the federal government being involved in everything with a one-size-fits-all solution and deal more with the schools? Well, I'd like to spend a little bit more time talking about this concept of what we do with the schools based on some research that I've done from my own book, The Unraveling of We the People. Today we talk about the fact that for much of our history, there was character education in the United States that taught four basic virtues that researcher Charles Murray refers to. Those virtues being industriousness, honesty, marriage, and religion. Now today, these founding virtues are being destroyed, leading to the unraveling of we the people. But in the depths of the Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln found hope. He cited the source of that hope in his Gettysburg Address when he said, and I quote, "We here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people, shall not perish from the earth." Unquote. And so Dr. Charles Doherty, in giving a sermon in 1954 titled Under God, that then led to the inclusion of the words under God in the Pledge of Allegiance, had this to say about Abraham Lincoln. He said that Lincoln saw that under God, this people shall know a new birth of freedom, and that under God are the definitive words defining the American way of life, unquote. And so today, however, in 2018, we may look at our money, which says, "In God we trust," but then scratch our heads and ask, so why don't we? And so this is something that I think over time we have seen a deliberate washing away of our faith in God. And it began in the 1920s with the progressive movement that did two things. First of all, it removed free market economics from being taught and the idea of self-reliance. And this has led now to the growth of the welfare state, where everybody expects government to take care of them instead of their own labor. But second of all, John Dewey, who was a leader in school reform, worked to remove Christianity from being taught in the schools and essentially letting children develop their own set of values. By the 1960s, this, with the removal of prayer in school and the writing of a book called Situational Ethics, this led to what came to be known as the situational ethics movement, and later on something called value relativism. I believe that Rush is right. Federalization of everything, particularly our schools, is destroying us. It is time that I feel that we teach three things in our schools. First, a knowledge of the history of our nation and the philosophical foundation upon which it's based. Second, a knowledge of how laws are passed and one's role as a citizen. And perhaps that role is to protest and say we need more gun laws, but perhaps it's to say maybe we've gone down a path where federalization has basically ruined the country. And third, then, the teaching of the creation of an inner moral virtue so that we are taught how to govern our own emotional passions and so that we can voice our views, but then not seek to harm others that may disagree with us. And so what I fear that has happened here in the United States is that instead of uniting everyone under God, as Lincoln saw, elements in our society instead focus on identity politics that pit one group against another instead of fighting for liberty and justice for all. Well, thanks so much for your thoughtful consideration of my remarks for today. And so I invite you to share your comments, to share this post if you feel so led. And until next time, thanks so much, and God bless.